It's time to tap the maple trees. You want to come along and check out how it's done? First question to ask is, how do I even know that it's the right time? Well, things are muddy and starting to thaw. And it's the end of February, which is the right time in my area. It's usually late February to early March. But most importantly, it's the birds. The sandhill cranes are coming back. The cardinals are starting to sing. I heard a mourning dove the other day. The birds know when it's spring. You're going to need some things, some buckets. I got some hoses. Those aren't really necessary, but they help keep things a lot cleaner. Also, for your buckets, you want to get some caps. If you don't have tops for your buckets, a lot of debris will fall in there and it'll be pretty nasty. I like to cut these little holes in the tops of my caps for the hoses to go through so that I can clip the caps down tight on the buckets so that they don't blow away. You also need taps, of course. There's several different kinds with different ends on them. What you want to look for doesn't really matter so much. You just want to make sure that whatever end it has on it, like these ones with the little spout, are not necessarily good if you're trying to put a hose on them. These ones certainly you can't put a hose on. All right, so it just depends on what you're trying to do. My dad really likes these ones because he can hang his bucket on them really easily. And he says they don't clog up very easily like some of the other ones do. So that's one thing you want to check before you put any of your taps in. You want to make sure that hole is completely clean and not blocked at all. I personally like these ones because my hoses fit onto them nicely, and they have nice big holes that they can bring the sap through so they don't get clogged very easily. There's not really a right or wrong tap, so whatever you can find, whatever seems good to you. One thing you do want to avoid is that some of these taps that have the narrowed butt right here may break off in the tree after a few years, so you just want to be aware to not get cheap materials so that they're not breaking off in your tree. And then to set your taps, you're going to need a hammer and a drill, and you want your drill bit diameter to be roughly the same diameter as the outside of whatever tap you're putting in. Next step, find a maple. That's actually a lot easier to do when there's leaves on the trees, so we'll talk about that in a whole nother video. When you go to drill your holes, be careful of the poison ivy that is inevitably on the maple trees. You don't want to tap small trees, you want them to be bigger. I call them huggable size or larger. Basically, you want them to be at least about a foot across before you tap them. If you've tapped the tree previously, you want to avoid that area. I tapped here last year, and so everything on this whole area here is going to not have good flow. And also, I don't want to tap too close and then damage the tree, so I'm going to tap on the other side of this tree today. You want to choose a spot a few feet off the ground, and then you want to drill in, but not at a 90-degree angle. You want to drill slightly upwards a little bit, and you're going to go in about ½ inch. Make sure you pull back on the drill. See those little bits and pieces inside there? We don't want that. That's going to clog up our tap. So we want to pull the drill in and out in order to remove those. Dad's pulling them out, but I'm not going too deep. Doesn't look like it's quite running yet, but it will be within the next couple of days, and we'll be ready. Tap your tap in with a hammer, just like putting a nail into the wall. I couldn't show you that because I need both hands and I can't run a video and use both hands at the same time. Next, I'm going to put the hose onto the end of the tap, which I also need both hands for. Now I just need to run the hose into the bucket. I'm going to put the cap on the bucket. You want to make sure your bucket's nice and flat and stable, and we'll stick the hose right in through there. And then the last thing we want to do is just put some weight on it so that the bucket doesn't blow in the wind and tip over and dump all of our sap, which is a really sad way to lose all of your sap. That's really all there is to it. It's not that hard to tap your trees. Get out there and try it. I boil my sap on an open fire. If you're interested in seeing how that works and you live in southern Michigan, check out the Will Forage for Food Facebook group events page. I'm going to be posting something there shortly. Happy foraging, everyone, and happy spring.